Welcome back. The Florida legislature wrapped up its session this weekend. There was a lot that took place, and we will examine it in more detail next week. But perhaps the most emotional and divisive issue of this session was a bill to ban sanctuary cities. This measure has been pushed previously, but this year passed at the urging of Governor Ron DeSantis. As a result, Florida now has the strictest, and some would argue the cruelest, law on this issue in the country. Joining me now to discuss the impact of this measure is Maria Rodriguez, Executive Director of the Florida Immigrant Coalition. Maria, thank you for coming in.
Good morning.
I know that you were in Tallahassee earlier this week trying to fight this bill. You fought this bill in previous iterations over previous years. Why do you think it passed this year as opposed to previous years?
Trump and Trumpism. We've been fighting this bill since 2011 through the We Are Florida campaign, which is a broad campaign that is very diverse of people who want to value immigrants in Florida and fight that criminalization. But this year, fueled by the wave of racism, fueled by whatever payback to Trump the governor feels like he owes and wants to fall into line with the detention enforcement mechanism, and perhaps even fueled by for-profit prisons.
You're angry about this, I can tell.
We are outraged. It's hard to be outraged so long. We love our communities, we love our families, we have these values that we share, but yet there's such hypocrisy when you see that many of these people who voted for this bill benefit from the labor sun up to sundown of immigrant families. For God's sake, we're in a town that's more than 51% immigrant, foreign born. We are touting our support for Venezuela, yet Venezuelans are disproportionately affected by deportation right now. So I'm angry at the hypocrisy of they going up to Tallahassee and voting against our interests, and not just on this issue, on so many issues.
We should note that while it was along party lines, the one Republican in the state Senate who broke with the Republican Party on this was State Senator Ana Terry Flores. She voted against this bill, so we should acknowledge that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And on the House, Vance Lupus as well voted against, and I'm sorry, I forget, there's another Republican that voted against, but it's very clear for us. In 2011, when we fought this bill, there was independent thinking within the Republican Party, and there were different factions, and perhaps they didn't like Rick Scott as much as they're bringing in top-down party discipline. As I understand it, the governor called the senators, wrangling them when he saw at the 11th hour that there wasn't support for this bill, this nothingness bill.
So let me push back a little, because this is a bill that outlaws and bans sanctuary cities in a state that has no sanctuary cities. So if we're banning something that doesn't exist, what's the real harm?
There's a lot of harm. There is so much harm because we don't know how this bill will be understood and interpreted. When they try to exempt the Department of Children and Families, and that amendment passed in the Senate, and the House bullied the Senate to not exempt the Department of Children and Families because it would be a sanctuary agency, that lets you understand that they want to grow the deportation machinery in this state. So although the language is very vague and the language only says that local governments, state agencies, and law enforcement must honor the detainers, and number two, must come into a reimbursement agreement, we know that it also says must do their best effort to enforce immigration law, which is a federal immigration, not a local function.
So in essence, what this bill now does is that it says that if the federal government, if ICE in particular, asks a local municipality, a local jail to detain someone, that's no longer an option. They must detain that person. But it's the second part, that vagueness that you're referring to, in which these different agencies now have to actively work on behalf of enforcing federal immigration law, in essence deputizing local police, local sheriffs, and all the rest into carrying out state or federal mandates. That's where the fear becomes.
Let's just be clear. No one is being deputized. Not even law officers are in the business of immigration enforcement. We're only talking about people who are in custody and who are detained. But the interpretation, and somebody like you who is so knowledgeable, that you would imagine that these entities could take on the role of immigration, we believe that we suspect that that is their intent, to a sweeping effort. There was even a snitch line that they wanted for neighbors to report each other. That did not pass. But this is very harmful. It's harmful because it's criminalizing and separating our families brutally. And let's not forget, that is a moral issue, and that is on the conscience of all those people who voted for that. It's also harmful because it costs money. This is an unfounded mandate. It's harmful because it undermines public safety. It's harmful because it undermines local democracy for local governments to make their own decisions. It's harmful at many different levels.
I want to read a statement that Governor DeSantis put out. He said, quote, we are a stronger state when we protect our residents, foster safe communities, and respect the work of law enforcement at every level.
Don't they trust law enforcement now? There's more than 34 basic ordering agreements. They're already collaborating with ICE. There's 5 287G agreements already in the state. And that's been expanding. So why would we want to signal that we need to grow immigration enforcement when Florida detains 6 times what New York does? When the increase in detention since 2017 has been more than 75% each year.
Now, I know that there was one aspect of the bill that was changed during the course of the hearing, which was to make it clear that witnesses of crimes or victims of crimes were exempt from this. That was an issue that I know the police chief in Miami, Jorge Colina, and others had raised. Does that go far enough, in your opinion, in terms of protecting potential witnesses or victims of crime from being able to come forward?
It may be technically, but the reality is that people will not want to be collaborating with law enforcement. They don't want to do it now. They're afraid. People are afraid. And
this will only increase that fear.
And this will only increase that fear. And if community policing is the best approach so that there can be collaboration, then that undermines decades of efforts towards that.
I mean, so in other words, if I'm an undocumented person and I witness a crime, rather than report that, or if I'm a victim of a crime, rather than report that, I probably won't. In which case, the criminal continues to be out there and able to victimize others.
Families are mixed status. You don't even have to be an undocumented immigrant to hesitate to call the police if you have an undocumented person in your home. So it affects U.S. citizen children. I mean, I can't believe that they would exempt the Department of Children and Families, the agency that is intended to protect the most vulnerable children in the state, and they want to turn that agency into an immigration collaboration. That is outrageous.
Well, another area that I thought was interesting, I know that there was an amendment proposed that would have exempted Venezuelans. Right now, we're in the midst of this crisis in Venezuela. There are a number of people of Venezuelan heritage here, some who may have been overstayed visas and the rest of it, and yet this would now require law enforcement to work aggressively to potentially remove them and send them back into a very hostile situation. Yeah, and that amendment that was trying to exempt them failed along party lines, with the Republicans voting to keep the Venezuelans vulnerable.
Absolutely. The amendment was for asylees or refugees in the process, so that they would not get ensnared in this deportation. And the mention of Venezuelan as a key target in this community. We hear, at least in Spanish language media and radio, Venezuela, Venezuela, Venezuela. We need to stand with Venezuelans. But the minute we don't pay attention, they are basically saying deport Venezuelans. And those are the same so-called advocates of the Venezuelans down here. There were 244 amendments filed. This bill went from the Senate to the House to the Senate to the House, back and forth like a ping pong, because they know it's irrational, it's unconstitutional, it's an unfunded mandate, it's big government. They didn't even talk about how to pay for it. it's mayhem.
Well, I think you said it at the very beginning. There was a fear among Republicans in the state of Florida in the past of doing anything along this line for fear of losing Hispanic votes. Donald Trump and the election of Ron DeSantis has apparently changed that, and now we're seeing the results of that. Maria, I really appreciate your time for coming in.
Thank you.
We'll continue to follow the ramifications of this.
Thank you so much.
All right, now before we go and take a break, we have one bit of good news. Several weeks ago, we reported on a bill that would provide financial help to firefighters who contract certain types of cancer that likely stem from doing their job. Although the bill had overwhelming support, the Speaker of the House, Jose Oliva, blocked the bill from being heard. But after intense public pressure and questions being raised about whether the decision to kill the bill was politically motivated, Oliva dropped his opposition and the bill was passed unanimously. On Friday, Governor Ron DeSantis signed the bill into law, giving our first responders the support they deserve. It's a nice way to end the week. We'll be right back after the break.